our faculty really excited about using AI in the classroom and helping us prepare our students for the future of work. So hence our discussion today is what is the future of work going to look like and how are we going to move into the future? And I can tell you, looking at this as a professor here at FIU, it's a wild idea thinking about the future with AI, and it's moving so quickly. I'm just so impressed with all of the information that's been shared so far today. And I don't see Carlene here, but it's such a huge amount of work putting together a conference like this. So Carlene Cousins, as well as Carrie Sanchez, let's just like give them a little round of applause because it really is hard putting on a conference, and I'm so appreciative of them putting all this work, putting together so many amazing speakers. So for a second, I just want to lighten the load because we are the panel in between you and Bacardi cocktails, okay? So that's kind of hard, guys. You know, it's a little bit challenging, but I'm going to do my very, very, very best to keep this lively, especially since I know you guys have had a lot of information today, okay? But for a minute, just for fun, I want you to think about the Jetsons. Do you remember that, Jetsons? We were going to have like a robot cleaning person. How did that never happen in my life? Like, is that going to happen, right? Do you remember, like, they videoed in and that was like Zoom? So that actually happened, right? The flying car. When are we going to have the flying cars? Right? Tomorrow? I don't know. Maybe soon. In our lifetime? Do you guys think in our lifetime we're going to have flying cars? I hope so, all right? I hope I can drive it. So anyways, when we think about the future of work, I want you guys for a minute to think about that one thing in your job that you really, really dislike doing, okay? You don't have to share it, okay? So that one thing in your job that you really, really dislike doing, is there any way that AI could maybe do it for you in the future, okay? And if that is possible, I want you to hold that thought for a minute, and we're gonna have, our panel is actually going to introduce themselves, okay? And they're gonna answer one quick question, and then we're gonna move into our short mini presentations, but we're gonna have time as well for you guys to ask questions and to sort of engage with us about what it is that you think the future of work will actually look like. So, coming to you guys, okay? If you could introduce yourselves. Okay, ladies first, okay? And also just like one thing that excites you right now about AI.
My name is Jenny Morales. I'm the Director of Data Analytics for Bank United. I've been in the company for about 15 years. And one thing that excites me about AI is the pace of innovation, right? It's accelerating in ways that we never seen before, and that opens the door for to explore, to be creative. It's a blank canvas, so we can take it as far as we want to.
Hello, hi. My name is Dora Cortinas. I'm the Vice President of Enterprise Data and Analytics at Keurig Dr. Pepper, based out of Dallas, Texas. And the thing that excites me is just if you thought things happened fast in technology before this, it's amazing the pace of change with artificial intelligence that companies have to plan and deal with.
I hope this one works. It does. Good afternoon, everybody. I see some braver people left to go chase the cocktails. I don't know who's braver, if those that left or those that stayed. Kudos to all of you. So I'm Hernan Londono. I'm the Chief Technology Strategist at Lenovo for the public sector. And what I am really bullish about AI, but one of the things that really inspire me about AI right now is that by contrast and comparison is helping us remember our humanity. So for a very, very long time, we have not thought about how human we should be. And now we have this external agent that people are saying, well, it almost sounds human, and is making us think about what is it that makes us human. And that, to me, is one of the things that I'm most excited about Obviously, I'm excited about AI, but I'm more excited about our humanity.
Great, thank you. One of the things that I think about for the future and what really gets me excited is the creativity. So since AI has sort of shaped things for me in the last couple of years, I've written a song, I've written a children's book, I've created videos. I mean, it's just amazing. It's like all the great ideas that I've had, it used to take an entire team in order to do them, so they didn't happen because I didn't have a whole team to help me. And now I can just do them overnight. I mean, it's so amazing. So I want you guys to continue thinking about like what that looks like as our panelists are presenting for you, and then also I want you to think of some good questions to ask them so we can have a dialogue back and forth about this. So go ahead.
Let's go into it. Was this one hot? Fantastic. All right. Well, our job today, it's a little bit complicated for one reason. We are the last panel, and we had a brilliant number of people coming to the stage telling us a lot of things about AI. So it will be complicated for us maybe not to repeat some things. So you're going to hear some things again, maybe in a different context, which is important. Now, our context for this presentation is the future of work. So how is the professional setting and work going to be affected in this new context of AI? So we're going to talk about that. And so I'm going to try to set the stage for my co-panelists. They're going to go deeper into some things. I'm going to try to level us in terms of where we are now in terms of AI. So I have a quote. I'm going to start with that. And there's a specific reason why I'm going to start with that. That quote by Alvin Toffler, he actually said that in 1970. So I was born in 1970, so now you know how old I am. And that's very interesting to me that he said things like, think about what is going to be most useful for you in the future. He was a futurist. And he said things like, you need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And why that's important is because that's where we are today. I don't know if you know, but about 60% of the jobs that were created, that exist now, were created in the 1940s. 60% of the jobs that exist today were created in the 1940s. And so there's got to be a cycle that makes these jobs expire. And what's exacerbating that is AI. And so what do we do with the workforce today? If we were to say, well, all these numbers, all these jobs that existed since the 1940s will not exist anymore, what do we do with people? And this is where we have to learn. We have to unlearn some things that we knew before, and we have to relearn. And I think that's the future of work. All right, so I'm going to set the context for that. You all already heard who I am and who I work for. One of the things that I heard in the hospitality panel today was about culture. Right? It was about why is it that we are trying to introduce AI in companies, big and small, and sometimes it does not work. And some people may say, well, the technology is not ready. And yes, that's possible. But in some other ways, it has to do with people. And it has to do with culture. And so the panelists and that, if you were here for the hospitality panel, they touched on that. They were very specific about, is your culture ready? So I want you to think about this for a second. And I want you to look at something that I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you an image. And I want you to think if you've seen that image in your professional setting. Right? And it is so interesting that even before we touch on the technology, we have two camps and companies. We have those that want to advance and they want to take risks and they want to try out things. And we have some others that say, we have been doing this for 20 years and it works. And we're here and we're getting paid and this is fantastic, right? And the question for all of us today in the era of AI is, do we have a choice? Do we really have a choice? I have an opinion. Other people may have different opinions, but my opinion is I don't think we have a choice. And we don't have a choice in many cases because companies say in their missions, we don't have a choice. Many companies, most companies want to be competitive. Competitive advantage is one of the main drivers for companies. And so if you want to compete on a level playing field today, can you do it without AI? I don't know. I really find that hard to believe. So if you are thinking about AI in the context of your company and competitive advantage, like I said, the previous panel talked about that, but certainly culture is something you're going to have to talk about. And you're going to have to inspire people to want to move forward. All right. Something happened there. We got signed out. AI is the new bacon, right? Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story. This is funny and not funny. I was talking to an audience of folks from Asia Pacific, and I was talking about AI, and I said, AI is the new bacon. And everybody looked at me like, what are you talking about? And so it is very contextual, obviously. In North America, many of us like bacon. Like we think is great. Some of the places it is not. So if you're one of those who do not like bacon, apologies to you. But for those of you who like bacon, what would you say AI is the new bacon, right? And the reason is simple. I'm one of those who like bacon. Bacon makes everything better. And so if you are in the tech world, for example, if you're a company and you're consuming any kind of technology, there is almost no technology that you're consuming today that the company is not telling you this technology is infused with AI, right? Every piece of technology that we're consuming today, it is infused with AI. So whether we like it or not, and some of our panelists before talked about this, we have AI embedded into our companies. The bigger question for all of you, I think, and something that I'm going to try to help us understand for the future of work is, why should we use AI? Why? Forget about the technical elements. I know we saw machine learning and we saw generative AI and we saw deep learning and we're talking about tokens and neurons and synapses and all of that. Forget about that for a second. At the very foundational level, if you have to make a decision to use AI, what would you use it? Do you have a frame of reference to decide? And so, do you recognize that person in the slide right now? Sure you do, right? What about that person? So Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. If I ask you what do they have in common, what would you say they have in common? I'm sorry? Clothing style. Clothing style. Okay, what else? Adventurous. Entrepreneurship, power. Okay, what if I add this person? What do they have in common? Courage, leader. What else? What? Power. Yes, yes. So I'm trying to illustrate what would you use AI, right? So you're thinking like, where is Hernan going with all of this, right? What do these three people have in common? Well, I'm going to show you something that President Obama said because people asked him. And he said, you know what? I don't have time to make decisions. And for every decision that I need to make, I need to use cognitive capacity. And so where I don't need to make decisions, I will not make the decision and I will use that cognitive capacity for something else. So what these three people have in common is they dress the same way every single day, generally. You will always see them using the same attire. And why? Obama said it. I don't have to make decisions about what am I going to wear in the morning. Just the same suit, different color, or the same color and the same shoes, same color, same shirt, and I don't have to make that decision. Cognitive capacity is the reason why we want to use AI. So when we're thinking about work, it's not so much about what we can automate, is where can we save cognitive capacity on one side, but also where do we not have cognitive capacity to have the right decisions being made. So this is all about decisions, of course. And so when we think about decisions, I'm giving you a frame of reference. We have decisions that have low impact and high impact. And when we talk about cognitive capacity, we have decisions that require high degree of cognitive capacity and decisions that require low cognitive capacity load, right? So at the low portion, we are okay with rules. So if you think about the dressing code, do you need an AI to tell you that you should dress the same way every day if you don't have to use cognitive capacity? You don't. You just create a rule. You say, I'm going to just buy 7 suits. They're the same color. I'm going to buy 7 shirts. They're the same color, 7 ties, and I'm going to dress the same way every day, and that's a rule. You don't have to use cognitive capacity anymore, so you wouldn't use AI for that. But now, when we have high impact decisions with high cognitive capacity load, now we need something that can help us predict. That's where you want to use your AI. So when you're in your company and you're thinking about which jobs should be affected, how should we enhance the role of the people in your company? You think about what kind of cognitive capacity they have to use, whether or not they have enough. If you have something that have hundreds of variables, are you going to have a person looking at hundreds of variables and making a prediction, or you're going to be looking at AI, right? So that is a good decision framework for the future of work. So what can we say about the future of work? I'm going to tell you not what I think, I'm going to tell you what others are saying. So the World Economic Forum has studied this problem very well. 5 reports or 6 reports roughly since 2019, 2020. It's called the Jobs Report by the World Economic Forum. They are paying attention globally to see how the job market is changing. This is what they're saying. There are 170 million roles, new roles that are going to be created. So we're thinking about, people say, well, are we going to lose our jobs and should we have to worry about it? And my answer to you is yes. How in the world are we going to keep the same jobs for 200 years? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, jobs are going to be disappearing, but some new ones are going to be created. Unlearn, learn, relearn, unlearn, right? Educate yourself, and there's going to be, obviously, a number of roles that are going to be declining. So we have 170 million on the rise, new roles. We have 92 million on the decline. These roles are going to be disappearing globally. And so there is a net profit here. That tells us there is a massive opportunity to play in the economy of AI. Massive opportunity. Skills. Some of you may be thinking, okay, do you need to be a computer scientist to participate in the AI economy? The answer is no. The answer is the same job reports as saying you need some technical skills, but you also need some soft skills. You have them there. There's 10 of them that are listed. If you have a blend of those, you're going to be very well positioned to play in the new AI economy. That's what we call it. I did hear a remark from one of the panelists about the cycles of 15 years. Technology is going to going through 15-year cycles, and we've seen some of that. And this is, by the way, a graph that shows the evolution of technology and how fast it's happening since the 1400s, printing press, right? And you see it's an exponential curve. And you see it at the very end as very dense. There's a lot of technology that is being created there, accelerating super fast. One technology that you don't see there is AI. AI is not in that curve. Even though you cannot read it, I can tell you AI is not there. Why is AI not there? Because AI does not accelerate at the exponential rate. AI accelerates at a double exponential rate. Double exponential rate. So anything that you are trained to do in a 15-year cycle from previous technologies, unlikely that is going to work for this new cycle of a technology that accelerates at a double exponential rate. Meaning, if you keep thinking about using it and your competitors keep advancing, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to catch them up at some point. Some signals. You think there's not enough money for all of us to participate in the AI economy? There's about $15 trillion that is going to be added in terms of a gross domestic product to the world economy by the year 2030. 15 trillion. 15 trillion. There's money for everybody here. But you have to be equipped to participate in that economy. What are leaders saying about what you need? Leaders are saying today, if you don't have some sort of AI skill, not to be an AI engineer or a computer scientist, if you don't have some sort of AI skill, unlikely you're going to be hired. So I want to tell you a quick story. I'm going to leave you with this cartoon. But I'm going to tell you a quick story because I have a friend here. We were both in a previous life. In a previous life, I was a CISO. And we're having a conversation about some of our CISO friends who are having difficulty finding work. They're amazing CISOs, Chief Security Information Officers, amazing. And I told my friend, I said, I think it's either they retire or the market will retire them because they're not finding the job. And I didn't finish the sentence because I would have given him what I was going to say here. But the reason for that is they don't have the skills to play in this economy. And companies that are hiring people, even at the highest level, they're asking for that skill. Do you have the right skills to play in this economy? All right. I hope this last cartoon opens your eyes also. If you're in a company and you see people saying, let's forget about it, let's not do anything about it, something magical is going to happen. Hopefully you're going to change the culture. I have my other colleagues who are going to now go a little deeper into some of the specific roles in the future of work, and I'll be here for questions.
Good afternoon. Good. So, when we think about AI, I'm going to ask all of you. I think it's true that we all kind of envision these tech Silicon Valley gurus building these giant robots that maybe one day are going to take over the world and get rid of our jobs. How many have you thought about that and maybe have had concerns about that in the room? Right? Yeah. Well, at Keurig Dr. Pepper, where I work, we actually see an opportunity with AI to be able to transform how we bring beverages to all of you to drink at whatever the time of day or the type of beverage that you like. One of my favorite beverages is coffee, and so I need my caffeine. And a world without caffeine is actually a lot scarier for me than what the possibility of AI. So one of the things that we see is the opportunity is that AI is not a replacement, but a co-pilot. And that kind of aligns with what Hernan was talking about as well, right? It's an augmenter. And it's going to allow humans to be more productive. One of the things one of the areas that we're focusing on at Keurig Dr. Pepper is to be an AI-driven organization. And in order to be able to accomplish that, there's a few key capabilities that we're focusing on. And I have 4 that are highlighted in a different color because this is where we're focusing on the people side of making AI a true reality in our organization and to be an AI-driven organization. And it continues to follow the theme about culture and people, right? I've been in corporate America for a long time. I'm sure Hernan and others have seen this, where you invest millions in tech initiatives and they fail. Why? Because the people haven't adapted it, right? We can all code something and make a program do exactly what we want it to do, whether it's right or wrong. But people aren't that easy, right? You don't push a button and they jump. So focusing on that adoption and that acceptance of the changes that will be happening is critical to ensure that AI is adopted. And so risk management, right? Decision making, making sure that we have the right technology for the right purpose. Ensuring that the work that we're doing with AI is aligned strategically. The data, you talked about data all day today, I'm sure, right? Making sure that the data is the right data, it's got the right quality, it's got the right governance. All these things are critical, but the most important thing is the culture, the change management, the communications, constant communications with the team members about why this is good, how it benefits them, how it could augment their jobs. And then certainly being adaptive and agile and upskilling the team members. So it's important that all these practices be in place in order to be an AI-driven organization. Now, in order to drive those and create those capabilities, at Keurig Dr. Pepper, we're focusing on a center of enablement, not a center of excellence, a center of enablement to enable AI across the organization. And that basically focuses on a few of these keys, but do we have the right thought leadership, the right governance, program management, But again, notice the two chevrons in light blue. It's critical that we have the right communications and change management, and that we have these practices in place. So these are all important, and again, a constant theme throughout here. So the future of work, right, isn't about AI instead of humans, it's AI plus humans, with the assistance of AI that amplifies our judgment, our creativity, and our relationships. So let me give you a few examples of how that's come to life and some key use cases. So for those who are in marketing, and I know Nancy is in that area, in the old, a few years ago, we would do campaigns. They were mass campaigns, right? You would just send ads and hit the airwaves with it. Well, today, it's about precision marketing, right? It's about truly understanding the behaviors at a consumer persona or a segment of consumers, or even at an individual level, and being at that more micro level. That is only possible because of the models of artificial intelligence that allow us to synthesize a lot more data to be able to do that. Now, personalization, right, can get down to a level potentially where I'm going to walk home one day and my fridge might say, hey, Dora, you've had a tough day. You want a Dr. Pepper and so you can relax? Right? It's a little scary, but it's possible, right? And that is about basically removing friction from the consumer experience. So imagine walking into a store, and as you're walking into it, you've got a promotion on Canada Dry. It's one of your favorite drinks, and you have an opportunity to buy a 2-for-1. That's actually a good thing, right? To be able to experience that when you walk into your 7-Eleven, and it removes friction from the experience and creates more of a loyalty to the brand. So how does it shift marketers in the workforce? Well, marketers now are orchestrators, right? They orchestrate, they work on the models, on the output of the models. They're ensuring that the insights that are created respect privacy and trust. These are skill sets that are needed in marketers that haven't been there before. Again, the upskilling and the change in skills and the jobs are changing. Let's talk about demand forecasting. So in order to forecast demand a few years ago, you looked at your historical sales and you forecasted your inventory based on that, right, and your demand. Hope that it doesn't rain, right? Because if it rains and you're anticipating traffic in a particular store in a particular location, people are going to stay home, right? And now you've got this inventory staying on your shelves. Well, having the AI capability allows multiple inputs of data to be synthesized. So I'm now not only looking at sales history, but I'm looking at my weather patterns, I'm looking at social media, is there anything that's trending there in a particular area of the country? And I can eliminate waste, right? So I'm eliminating using resources that get wasted, product that could be thrown away because I forecasted a higher number. And I can make sure that when you walk into your favorite store and you go to that shelf, that product is there for you to pull, and that's a good experience for you. So this is where AI is changing the supply planners from being folks that focused on building macros and being spreadsheet gurus to now starting to think about scenario planning, right, in different situations and analyzing the data and making decisions off that. A different skill set. Still a supply planner, right, but a different skill set and application in terms of how the job is applied. The last one and kind of cool one is for our frontline workers and how AI is impacting those jobs. So imagine a driver. We used to give them a route and say, okay, this is your route. You're going to go to store A, B, and C, and this is a 6-hour journey, right? And you design the day. Well, imagine AI giving that driver immediate feedback that says, hey, there's a traffic congestion happening in this area that you're headed to. Let me reroute you and get you to so that your driving is a lot more efficient. When I get to that store as a driver and I'm putting product on the shelf, I could recommend to that driver that says, hey, there's a surge, there's an event happening nearby or something that was unplanned. Let's say that Beyonce, right, is posting about Snapple tea, right? And we feel like that. She just posted it. It's in Miami, and there's going to be a surge, right, because people are going to want to go buy Snapple tea. So we need you to talk to the sales, to the store manager and let them know that they probably want a little extra product on the shelves, right? That's actually a good thing for the store owner, right? It's going to build their business, it's going to expand their revenues. So we're partnering with them on doing that happen. And the driver is adding value, right? And is reacting to a real-time situation. So again, for the driver and even our salespeople that go to stores to sell and to place orders for our customers, they're basically, with data, they can change the conversation. They can tell the store owner, hey, you're not selling the 7-Up on the shelves. And there's an opportunity because 7-Up is really selling quite a bit here around your area, and that's going to be an opportunity for you to really drive sales and increase your revenue. So the salesperson is now becoming a relationship manager and a consultant and an advisor versus just going in and placing an order for the store manager, right? So these are just examples of how the workforce is going to change. The skill sets have to be shifted, but there has to be an acceptance of all that. So these are some examples, and what I want to talk to you a little bit here now then is what does that mean in terms of the workforce shift, right? We talked about tech as the easy part. The culture is the harder part. And so the mindset shift that we want to create is AI isn't taking my job. AI is going to take parts of my job out of my job that slow me down so that I can be more impactful and more effective in the role that I'm doing. So we want to shift the mindset of our team members from fearing automation to embracing augmentation, right? And so that's really important. And we want to invest in data literacy. We want to ensure that our leaders aren't leading with fear, but are leading with curiosity, that we're empowering our teams to give feedback on what's working and what's not as we're implementing these models and these AI capabilities. So we want the UI, we talked about agents. While those agents have an interaction with our team members, we want that to be frictionless, right? We want it to be approachable and that it creates trust and that there's curiosity from our team members. So in closing, how we're reimagining our workforce isn't by fearing it, but by weaving it into our processes, whether it's supply chain, marketing, frontline, and creating and educating that it's not about replacing humans as much as it's a partnership between the machine learning and the human together, so that we take away the arduous work, the work that's non-value added, the work that's boring, take that out of the job and make our team members more productive and more impactful on the job. So thank you.
So I'm literally the only person standing between you and those drinks, so I'll try to make this fast and fun, okay? Do I have to wear my bulletproof vest or something? No, right? You guys will behave. So I work for a bank, and the financial industry is heavily regulated. So in financial services, trust has always been our currency. Our customers come to us to trust us with their money, with their goals, with their dreams, and in order for us to do that, we need to do it in a way that we basically we deliver with accuracy and we deliver with transparency and to your point, with care, right? The human part of it. This is where AI comes in. AI is not, it's helping us do that every day. It's not something that we're not applying. It's something that it's here to stay, and we're trying to make the best out of it. It's here in the daily operations, and what it's doing is giving our employees, right, the time and the empowerment to do what they do best. And what is that? Their critical thinking, building relationships, and being the advisors that our customers expect. So if you use it the right way, it could be a huge benefit to us. Oh, the other way. I'm sure you're not, this is not the first time you're gonna hear that today. AI has been around for a long time, and I'm here to share mainly what we have learned in our journey is that AI, or no one single type of AI, is enough on its own. right? Traditional AI, it still does the heavy lifting, the credit, the traditional assessment, your detection on the fraud. Your generative AI takes it further, right? Your summarization, your information, your stories, it makes it easier for us to consume information. Together, they're stronger. Traditional AI brings the discipline, the accuracy. Generative AI makes the insights practical and easy to share. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the strongest strategy is not to use one versus the other one, is use them side by side. And now we have agentic AI. How about that, right? Talking about the next evolution. It's not something that we're applying today in our institution, but definitely something that we're gonna start experimenting with, right? It's AI that it's not just responding, it is initiating, is thinking on its own, and is acting. On our daily operations, I'm going to talk about a few use cases. One of them, the panelists from AWS already touched upon, but we'll give you a little more details about the use case. But our strategy when it comes to the use cases is not a one-size-fits-all. Sometimes we buy tools and we enable AI capabilities in vendors and tools that we already have in-house, and sometimes we just build them ourselves. So let's take the contact center, for example, right? We adopted a cloud-native AI-powered platform. We, since day one, we enable quite a few of their AI capabilities. These capabilities are not taking away our agents, they're actually amplifying them. So what is the result? Abandonment rate went from like 20 to 25% to below, consistently below 5%, day over day. You now have a containment rate on the IVRs, so we made it so much easier for our customers to use self-service that they no longer need to go to an agent. Escalations, down to the minimum, right? We as the conversations are happening, we provide the information to the agents and recommendations on how to act. So there's really not a lot of escalations. So what we have done also, it's like we have a lot of data. That means that you're capturing sentiment for like thousands of interactions. And what this is doing is giving us, or the agents, taking them from a reactive position to empower them and giving them the tools and the information that they need to really have meaningful conversations with our clients. On the other side, we have the branch and the build. We basically approach it with a build strategy. Imagine having a job, going through training for like, I don't know, 2 weeks, and then you go to a branch and you have your first client. And everything that you learn in training, it's out the door, right? So what are your options? You look around and see somebody to help you. You start sweating. You have a customer in front of you. You can search through 400 or 500 documents in a policy management system, or you can call the back office and wait 5 to 10 minutes to be helped, right? None of those three scenarios, if you've ever been in that situation, for those that have been a teller in your life, and I started my career in banking that way, it's not a good place to be, right? So what we did is we built a generative AI solution. We used Amazon Bedrock, and we connected it to our internal policy management system. And now our employees have information within seconds, right? They can just talk to it, plain, simple language. Policy management are written in a specific way. So this makes it easier for employees to understand. Also, what we have done is we've been able to reduce the calls to the back office for about 40%. Those employees didn't go away. Those employees now are making sure that we're probing, we're asking more questions, they're being assigned to more complex challenges, or they've been redeployed to other functions on their other units on the back office. So this is more like a cost savings exercise than anything else. Being in analytics, for me, with this use case, one of the biggest achievements as well is like, we now have a lot of data, right? There's a lot of gaps in our procedures, and we were completely blind to that before. Yet now we have the ability to address that gap and make sure that the information is as accurate as possible for our employees. The real value here isn't necessarily the automation, is the empowerment. Like I said, the employee gets the answers quickly, lets them concentrate on the clients in front of them, building the relationship rather than spending their energy chasing information from different sources. This slide right here highlights a critical point that we all been talking about all day today, is the change management and the fact that technology by itself cannot do it. We spend a lot of money in technology. If we don't apply it the right way, it does not work. So AI delivers a lot of value when people trust it. And that's why education, change management, and ethical use of AI, it's something that we need to be openly talking about to our employees. In our organization, we make it a priority to involve employees from the beginning. We have seen that when you involve people from the beginning, they start seeing the solutions or the tools as their friend rather than something that they can fear. It's been working for us. We're not about speed. We're not about efficiency. We are about, we owe it to our clients, to our regulators to make sure that we build that trust. So we speak openly about ethical AI. We make sure that our employees understand why and have visibility into why a model responded the way that it did, where is the source of information, so that way they can trust the data. The message to our employees has been clear. AI, it's not here to replace you. It's here to take away the parts of the job that weights you down so you could do what you're good at. Going back to the critical thinking, the empathy, the judgment, being able to be there for our clients. At the end of the day, we want to empower people with the insight, the speed, and the clarity. The things that make us human will stay here, at least for, hopefully for my lifetime. And all we want to do is give them the space and help the technology amplify their unique value. So the way I see it, the future of the financial statement, the financial services at least, like it will be a world where AI empowers the humans, it doesn't replace them. So with that, it's up to you guys.
So, yeah, I want to take some questions. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. There's so many things that came to mind. So when I first started teaching social media marketing, it was actually a job that didn't even exist. So about 25 years ago, somebody asked me, Nancy, but what are you going to teach at a university? And I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to teach. And then social media wasn't even a job yet. Like, we didn't even have textbooks when I started teaching social media marketing. There were no books. And I was one of the first in the country to teach social media marketing. And so I see that same change when I'm looking at change. That's really the same change that I see that's happening today. So one of the questions I have for you guys is, you know, when you think about the future, we hear a lot about the jobs that are going to be taken away, but do you see any jobs that are going to be created? Created based on what's happening with AI, like new jobs. Yeah.
Okay. I can take a stab at that. If you Google prompt engineering, you're going to see headlines that point to the fact that prompt engineers can make $300,000 a year. You're going to see that they don't need a computer science degree, they don't need technology background, and they need to be really creative, really good thinkers, and it's all about creating the best prompt. And so my opinion, I just, not as an officer of Lenovo, but more as a person who's been in the AI world for a little bit, I do believe there's a lot of jobs that are going to disappear. I know AI is going to enhance some, but some are going to disappear. It has to happen. And you heard me say at the beginning of this session, what I am most excited about is our humanity. So we have to do it in a compassionate way with empathy. We have to care about the humans. We have to give them support so that they can transition to other jobs. But we cannot keep the old jobs just to keep the human. Right? That's not going to work. There is a study by Gartner maybe 3 years ago that pointed to the fact that just by applying AI as a matter of operational efficiency, doing nothing else, there will be about $6 billion added to some economies in some countries, and that will require some positions to be eliminated. And so people are facing this, and our responsibility is to help people advance to the next level. So there's a lot of jobs that are going to be created for sure, but we have to be clear with people. We have to tell people there are some jobs that are going to go away. You have to think about how do you prepare yourself for the next economy.
Yeah, that's definitely a valid point. We have seen it in our institution where new roles have been created given all the demand that we have. We also have a responsibility to ourselves. In my career, especially the last few years, I spent a lot of time in meetings, and there's not, there's a lot of information, 1-hour meetings, and I would love to be one of those individuals that walk into the meeting and they're prepared, they have the notes from the meeting before, action items. Reality is very different. You don't have time. I've been relying on my memory. Thank God for that. Not getting any younger. So now what am I doing? I'm leveraging AI to help me, right? What are the notes? Catch me up. Sometimes I don't even go to meetings and use the technology to be up to date what is happening. And I'm buying myself time to be able to learn new skills. What is happening in the industry? What are some of the use cases that we need to think about? So if you do nothing, yes, your job will change, potentially be eliminated, but you can use the technology to your advantage if you do it the right way.
The only thing that I was going to add, because you both were right on, is that for anyone in the room today or anybody on my team, I tell them, if you're worried about your job, it will disappear if you don't leverage AI, period. Okay? So it's it's individuals that do not leverage AI that will lose their job in the next few months, right? It's imperative. What's that? No, months.
Yeah. And the other question, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience, is what excites you the most about AI? So what is the most exciting? It can even be just something that you're like, wow, that was such a life-changing thing. Either at work, it could even be in your personal life. Like when did you have like an aha moment, either at work or something big that's happened with AI that you've done or changed your work in some way?
So I think for me, I've always been sitting in the business very close to what is happening, and even that use case that we talked about, the fact that when you're in a position where you have access to the technology, pairing the right technology with the right use case, it's what's going to give you the most value. And throughout this journey, even with this solution that we created, I received an email from a new hire that took the time to email me and the team and thank me for creating this solution that have saved them so many times. And this is why I do what I do, right? It's not for the sake of playing with the technology, but the impact that the work that we're doing is really making in people's life.
For me, when presenting to executives, creating that executive storyline and framework can take a long time to think about and pull together. And to just go to Copilot, right, and just say, hey, I have a presentation, I'm talking to the CFO, this is what I'm trying to get them to buy into. How would you frame that presentation? And you still got to go do the work, but it builds the story for you, right? So that level of efficiency. Writing a job description, right? It used to take me hours, right? If I needed to create a new role and write a job description, I now go and say, I need a job description that calls out these skill sets, frame it this way for a data engineer, and within 5 minutes, I had a job description, right? So it's that to me is exciting, right? Is those enhancers that's not the fun part of the job, right? So that's what excites me.
Yeah, for me, it's made me into a new person, believe it or not. And so I really appreciate the efficiency that I'm getting with summarization and all of that. But I'll tell you a story. So my house needs a new roof, and I got proposals for my new roof. I've been doing this for the past 2 weeks. And I got 3 proposals. And I can tell you this for a fact. I would have never been able to read these proposals and figure out what was different about them, because even if I was able to clearly read them, I am not a roofer. I don't know the difference between this material and that material. I don't know the difference between this kind of pitch and that kind of pitch, this shingle and that shingle. And so I have 3 proposals, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do with this, except I know what to do with this, right? And I did it. And this was so amazing because I said, okay, well, do the analysis, give me the comparison, act as an expert roofer. And then he said, Hernan, you need clarifications from this company on this, from this company on this. Do you want me to write the email so that you can write the companies for clarification? And I said, absolutely. I took that email, I sent it to each company. And I think they were like, what the hell? And they're all like, Hernan, thank you for your feedback. Yes, we need to revise this one. And they're sending me, like, I could not have done any better redlining of a roof proposal, because I will never learn that. So I'm a new person. I'm almost like an expert roofer now. And so I'm very excited about that. I'll give you another example. I have a car that is very low, and I just moved the car 2 days ago, and I saw a piece of plastic that was on the floor. I didn't know what it was. Seriously, didn't know what it was. I took the piece of plastic, took 2 pictures, sent them to Copilot and said, I have a Dodge Challenger 2017, this model, and I found this. And he said, that is the splash guard on the left side of your car, and you can find it. This is the part number. And I called, yes, we have one. I went and I picked it up. I would have to call the mechanic. I would have to take the car. I am really excited about I'm very selfish, the very personal things that I'm able to do now with AI.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's amazing. My favorite question to ask is, what am I not asking you that I should be asking you about? And then it's like, I'm like, wow, I didn't think of any of that stuff. Like, after having many, many conversations about this subject with ChatGPT, and I'm like, okay, so what should I be asking you that I'm not asking you? I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of any of those things. And so that to me is really eye-opening. Yeah, in your personal life as well. I mean, we've been talking a lot about business and how to use it. But for my own personal life, I like to put in everybody's what food my family eats. And I have a 6-year-old who eats nothing, practically. And I put that in, and I'm like, so I want to make one thing. Out of these things, what can I make that still meets all of our needs? And it actually makes a list at the supermarket that I shop at. This is what you should buy. And it's like, it saves me so much time. It's amazing. So I think time is the number one thing. All right, so guys, I want to open it up for questions, so go ahead.
Bank United, largest bank, the largest in Florida, the 3 largest banks, based in Miami. This effort, who's it being led by? What you're doing of the AI?
So we're fortunate enough to have leadership that believes in what we're doing, that we're not afraid to jump in. I can tell you, the idea, we brought it to the head of innovation. She used to be the head of the consumer small business at the time. We partnered up with the CIO office, and obviously we have a great partnership with AWS, and assembled a team together of 2 individuals, me included. And we built it in 3 days. It took us longer to get it through model risk management approvals than it did to actually, because at that time, Bedrock was not even generally available, and it was the first use case on the institution. So it took a lot to get it through the approval process, because we were kind of like, the blueprint for any other use cases. But after that, and after leadership seeing the success that it had, I can tell you I have a huge pipeline of use cases to do, because now everybody wants it. Not only that, the business understands and believes on the value that AI has. And I think that, to me, it's at the beginning of the journey, it was kind of difficult for the business to understand, right? It was more like an IT kind of led initiative. And now it's like, I'm afraid to walk on the hallways. Because there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of very good cases, and I can tell you now, it is a partnership. it cannot be IT, it cannot be just AWS or whichever vendor you pick, and it needs to be a partnership in order for you to really get that value and the ROI that's expected.
And just a second quick question. When customers call, do they get referred to an automated system, or do they still talk to their officer? Or what happens when you ask him, I want to talk to human intelligence, not to artificial intelligence? Especially the older people, when they pick up that they're not talking to a human.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Yeah, the beauty of it is you have options, and you build it. From a contact center solution, the time that took, the part that took the most time to develop was the design, right? What do you want that experience to be? You have different demographics, right? Some people just don't want to talk to a human, believe it or not. Others, they prefer to have a human. So when you call a contact center, you have options. You could go through the IVR, and it's intelligent routing depending on what you need to do and who you are and what you have access to or the type of account that you have, because now there's data behind all of that can help us. Back in the day, you used to call the 1-800 number and the only option was to get a human. So now we have designed it in a way that depending on who you are, your preference, you could go through your IVR, you could speak to the human, it's listening to the conversation. So if it sense that you're getting frustrating or change the tone, so it definitely offers an escalation. But that's the beauty of the technology, that if you use it the right way, you design it the right way, it's not a one-size-fits-all. You have data available that can help you achieve the results that you want.
This is like deja vu for me. I think about 40 years ago, I had a discussion with my sister. This is when PCs are becoming ubiquitous. She goes, well, I guess I have to learn computers. The implication is that she's trying to learn the skill sets needed relative to personal computers, as if she needs to learn how to code computers. And I'm like, Deb, no, I think you're going to need to learn how to use these things like, we didn't know what they're called, Word and Excel, but, these applications. So that's the nature of my question. You say you need AI skills. What the hell do you mean you need AI skills? Be specific, help us out, because some people are having a hard time, the layman is like, this AI stuff, AI skills, where do I get them? Because the community college is going to start to have AI skill classes, and I don't know what that means. So be real specific here. I think it would help us, because that's a real interesting thing to say, but it's really, it's kind of oblique.
It's an obscure concept, right? It's kind of not very clear. Yeah, no, I agree with you. So let me be a little bit clear. So AI now, it's community colleges is a fantastic example. So community colleges are at the front of what is called workforce development. And so they've always been in that in the forefront of workforce development. And that originally, before AI, it looked very different. It was welding, it was carpentry, it was plumbing, there were other disciplines, and now AI is at the forefront of workforce development. So where you've seen companies doing, I'll give you an example, Intel is one of those companies. Intel has built extensive curriculum for workforce development and AI, and it's of two kinds. One is foundational. You need to understand what AI looks like and how it works at a very foundational level. And then you need to verticalize the application of that technology. And so if you go to community colleges today, those that have, for example, a bachelor's of AI, they may have a bachelor's of AI where you learn the very foundational elements of AI, how do you make it work, what is made out of, and then you go into AI and manufacturing, because the community college is located in an area where there is a significant number of manufacturers. And so the curriculum now verticalizes, what does it mean for somebody to have the skills to be applying AI to manufacturing? You have it for healthcare. You have it for sustainability. So this is what it looks like. These are the skills if you want to participate in the employability of AI, right? But where I was talking about the AI economy, $15 trillion to the year 2030, you don't need to do that. You need to have a good digital assistant. You need to have good prompt engineering skills. And to my co-panelist points, you need to help yourself by enhancing what you do as a human with the help of AI. Those are two different kinds of skills, if you think about it. One is just, I just need to learn how to use a digital assistant that is powered by AI, and the other one is, I need to learn AI, and I need to contextualize it in a vertical space. That's that helpful? Yep.
Great. We're going to actually, we just got the timer here, so we're going to take one more question, all right? But we're all going to be, afterwards, we're going to be at the cocktail hour, so that doesn't mean this discussion has to stop. I mean, you can come talk to any of us about the future of work, and we're all going to be super excited to talk about it. So one more question?
Hi. My question is about the type of AI integrated future that we can choose to have. I think everyone here sees the positive benefits that you can get from utilizing AI in your personal life and business. But there are also ways that it can be used maliciously. I guess two examples would be landlords using AI-powered algorithms to create a de facto real estate cartel that inflates prices, or a company where they have personalized pricing with dynamic adjustment, where the price of water goes higher with the temperature. So what safeguards, principles, infrastructure can we implement in order to have a future where AI integration protects and preserves human dignity and allows for greater self-actualization?
Listen, it's a fantastic question, I think. So I'll give you an answer that is indirect first and then direct. In a previous life, I was a chief information security officer. And one of the things that we do in that environment is we do a lot of governance, right? And one of the things that we know from that work is that governance always is lagging behind the technology. And AI is absolutely not an exception. So we're having the tension between the technology creating value and the technology being in the wild, because we always take a very long time to apply governance. We don't know how to do it. In fact, if you think about cybersecurity, for example, first paper came out in 1967. And today, we still tell people that voluntarily they can use something called the NIST framework. They're not even required to use it to govern themselves, right? Imagine the AI. So the answer is not easy. The answer is we need governance, right? We need to be ethical, we need to be responsible, we need to be thinking about the human. And that is easy to say, is absolutely very difficult to do. But the question is one that we need to continue to talk about with a cocktail in our hands. Really, because
Yeah.
it's gonna take a long time to discuss that. But that's a fantastic question, and I don't want to trivialize it. I really want to say it's a conversation that we need to have more often about how do we protect people.
Yeah.
Love the question.
The future is bright, but we also know there are dangers as well, right?